Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where we talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Ray Donovan. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. But first and foremost, I love that, it's like, oh, Ray and Molly doing their thing, they're going back to this place. At first, I was like, isn't Bridget at your place? And then lo and behold, they go to the bedroom. It's so awkward because you literally threw her on top of Bridget, and it's this weird thing of like, whoa, who are you? I was like, oh, I'm Molly. And it's like, because I think it's one thing of like, she kind of moves on because it's kind of like, to be fair, Abby's been going for a while, so I think it's no awkwardness thing of like, oh, you're with other people. Obviously, like, he had plenty of marital affairs, so it's kind of like, I think for her, it's just kind of, Bridget's kind of going through her own thing right now, so she wasn't too caught up in that, but still, we got that awkward thing of like, could you just give us a minute? So Bridget's telling Ray about everything with Smitty, and it's like, yeah, he beat up Adam and everything. It's like, oh boy, it's like, and what, anytime you had an affair, what did you do to make things better? And Ray doesn't really have an answer because for him, there was really no making anything better. Obviously, like, he cheated because obviously, Ray's got his issues and stuff like that, but I don't think there was any necessarily making things better. So it's like, obviously it's like, oh, can you get Adam to drop the charges? And Ray's like, kind of like, well, honestly, like, the only one that can probably do this and the one who has to do this kind of has to be on you. So while giving this fatherly advice, Bunchy shows up and Molly's like, oh, hi, I'm Molly Fitzsullivan. Now, actually used to live on, and Bunchy's like, yeah. Bunch and Ray talk about the whole situation. It's like, yeah, I shot the kid. And just like, Bunch, like, if you needed money, you didn't even have to rob people. You could have just come work for me. He was like, really? I guess for Bunchy, it's just like, he didn't think so, just because it's like, well, because I think in Bunchy's eyes, he sees himself as a bit of a screw up in the family, so I don't think he felt like Ray would have really seriously given him a job. But, maybe Ray was just, I take it as Ray just being polite and kind of saying that in a moment. But hell, he gave Smitty a job, so, But then it's like, yeah, sorry about this. It's kind of like, wow. Like, that moment with, I love that moment with Molly because it's like, yeah, sorry about this, It's like, yeah, family and stuff like that, right? So it's like, I just get you a car. She's like, oh, we could always go back to my place. Go back to her place. Lo and behold, who's waiting? Her dad. Side note, I'm skipping over a really good conversation about, so what was your daughter? It's like, well, she's been married 4 months. She's already having an affair. And my brother's all broken up about the kid he shot who was trying to rob the store he worked at. And I love that line from her being like, yeah, and you're the one that's in therapy. Once again, even an outsider realizing just how messed up the Donovan family is. Hell, even Bridget was like, yeah, you might want to stay. You might not want to have anything to do with, like, it's like, oh, you probably don't want to be within a 10-foot pole of this family. Which I guess for Molly, she kind of knows what family she comes from. So, like, Ray's family, it's kind of an issue. But, hey, she likes Ray, so she's making an exception. But I love it. It's like, lo and behold, who's waiting? Good old Jim. Because Jim's like, yeah, sit down and let's talk, Ray. Yeah, 2 people. It was like Bill and Larry. Ain't it interesting that these 2 people dropped dead? Did a certain job with them in 77. Who else was on that job? Good old Mickey Donovan. But you said he's dead, right? Nobody. And now it's starting getting Ray thinking like, all right, everyone's still under the assumption Mickey's dead. But it's like, Mickey, what do you know? It's like, all right. So now Ray's got to look into it to be like, okay. So, who did Mickey? It's like, once again, it's just like Mickey comes in like a damn hurricane every time. Once again, that was literally why Bunchy was like, you sticking around, like, every time you're around, there's always problems. And it just, death and destruction always are in the wake of Mickey Donovan. So, obviously, Ray's trying to figure out for himself whether or not Mickey's still, whether or not Mickey actually got on the plane or not. Obviously, we know he didn't, but obviously, he's getting Bunchy, who Bunchy's like, oh, you said I could work for you. He's like, yeah, I didn't think you'd actually admit. All right, look into this whole thing. Lena hooked me up with a name of this person will tell you whether or not Mickey got on a plane or not. Which, I don't think that's going to be a thing because they didn't introduce the said person. The whole, because I was wondering if Lena kind of had a replacement kind of set up for Ray, but she didn't. So that's why I was wondering, are they setting up kind of Lena's replacement or whatever? We'll ultimately have to wait and see. Well, I did like the fact is, it's like, oh yeah, like, the O'Malley, when he got checked out by Daryl used the name Jay White, and it's like, of course she did. And as I makes you wonder where your good old boy Jay White is necessarily up to, considering everything that went down last season. It's interesting to think about. So Because now it's not just 2 bodies, it's actually 3 because Daryl added a body to the list, which is ironic considering the fact is he stepped in because he was like, Mickey, you stay here. I want to try and make sure no one else dies. Inadvertently, him handling things, someone dies. It's just like, and even to the point, like, because obviously it's like Ray's calling Daryl, be like, yo, where you at? Because he knows Daryl's a part of all this. The moment he hears some black guy got, O'Malley out and he used the name Jay White, it's like, obviously Ray knows that connection. So... and Daryl's avoiding Ray's calls, and he's mad at Sandy. He's like, yo, don't press ignore, because that means, like, Ray knows I sent him the voicemail, which I love, like, Sandy being like, I hate cell phones. I miss phone booths. You can't get eaten out in a cell phone. I'm like, yo, Sandy's always saying some wild shit, dude. I love it. So, obviously, they ended up getting the tapes. Obviously, this whole situation hit, Daryl a certain way, because obviously he's like, for one, he's like, yeah, oh, get what's mine, it will get what's our legacy and all that, sure, but it's like, how many people got to die along the way? And it's like, Mickey being like, put it past you. I guess because to be fair, it's like, well, the fact of the matter is, you got a conscience now. Literally all the bodies that are on the Donovans, like all the skeletons, literal skeletons in your closet, like that's the thing, I'm sure, because it's like, these were 3 people, they were, I mean, it's actually sad, because it's like, well, because the third person they killed was Ronnie. He was one of O'Malley's kids, which Ronnie had called up Jim because he thought Jim had to do it. I mean, Jim's like, yeah, I would have done it. I mean, this was, no problem if I had actually done it, but like, I didn't bump off his dad, electrocute him and everything. It's just like, and now, because like, Mickey, like I said, it's just causing a hell, because let's not forget, they don't realize this, but Detective Perry is still gunning for that family, because she knows they got secrets, and now Mickey's literally putting all the, I mean, to be fair, it all kind of leads back to Mickey anyway, but it still drags the rest of the Donovan family in there. I mean, Claudette doing what she did inadvertently might have made things worse. I kind of figured it would, but it's like Mickey doing all this stuff, because she's doing all this because for her, it's like she just wants to keep, I mean, once again, we don't know what she told Detective Perry, but it was enough for her to kind of be staking out Daryl's place, waiting for him to come back, because it's like, because Claudette must have been like, yeah, Mickey's actually still alive, and he's with my son. If you take Mickey down, yeah, he's here, he's doing all this stuff, leave my son out of it. That's kind of the deal maybe Claudette made. I have no idea, so but all that's happening, so it's like you're just you're throwing more stuff for Perry to kind of find out and stick on you. It's kind of the point I'm trying to make. I love the whole situation with Terry and Smitty. The whole situation of Smitty coming over and kind of is like, yeah, I beat up some dudes. Like, why'd you beat him up? He slept with Bridget, and it's like, Jesus. And it's like, and Smitty just kind of pouring his heart out and being like, what should I do and stuff like that. It's like, I couldn't believe that she cheated on me. And, Terry's like, everyone cheats. So it's like, he's literally on the toilet, and it's like, Ray's like, yeah, I need you to look into this whole thing to see if, like, Mickey's at Sandy's place or something, like, check out Sandy's place. And I love that literally he's in the middle of talking, and Terry's still on the toilet, and he just closes the door on Smitty. And it's just like, shut up, complaining. All you're doing is moaning and complaining about this whole thing. And I love while they're there, Smitty's looking at the pavement, because it's like, right, the dead bodies. I'm sure he hasn't been back to Sandy's place since everything went down last season. So, but I love that being a line from Terry too, to be like, the fact of the matter is, you two aren't, because obviously, like, Bridget called it because she got Adam to drop the charges, which you can tell despite all this, Adam still has a thing for Bridget. Now, part of me wonders, is he actually going to actually drop the charges or not? I love that thing of, like, Smitty being like, whoa, actually don't get the charges dropped. Get him back on, because you don't need to undo what I did, which I'm like, obviously, you're just grasping at straws here just because you're pissed and you just need something. It's like, that's kind of not the hill you want to die on. Or like, she did get the charges dropped, but it's still a thing of like, you got the charges dropped because you had to talk to him, so obviously that's going to make Smitty feel a certain way. And obviously Terry's like, did you hang up on her? You don't have any fucking manners? And for him it's like, but the fact that she cheated on me, it's like, yeah, but the fact of the matter is you two aren't going to leave each other. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, you both have, that all changed the moment you killed that cop. Like, you're part of this family, so neither one of you are going to leave each other. It's kind of like, you're in this for the long haul. And I think obviously that's the thing, between Abby and Ray. Despite everything Ray did, what Ray was always mixed up in. I mean, even when, because Abby found out what Ray did, to be fair, the entire family, more so than anything, like his specific family, that being Abby, Connor, and Bridget, all ended up finding out what he does and what he kind of gets mixed up in, because they didn't really know what it was that Ray had a tendency to get mixed up in. But even then, like, Abby was ride or die. She was like, hey, the fact of the matter is, I know what you do, but, we're still going to stick this out together. It's still kind of us, together. Obviously, sadly, that was so, I say short-lived, but it was still so soon after that, everything, with Abby, her getting sick and dying. So, but it's kind of like Ray and Abby stuck it out through everything that they went through. So it's kind of like, you kind of have to too. Like, the fact of the matter is, there ain't no getting away from this family. Like, the moment you kill that cop, you basically became a Donovan. You're a part of this family. Ain't no getting away. So the fact is, you and Bridget are going to work it out. And that's what I hope nothing comes up to kind of, take that away from them. But I just love that that's all happening in the heat of everything. Obviously, Ray, went to Daryl's place, ran into Jasmine, and it's like, she was like, oh, you're a cop, aren't you? And he's like, no, I'm Daryl's brother. She's like, have you met Daryl's, like, half-brother? It's like, tell him I was looking for him, so. Which I guess from the outside is kind of like, and I guess the way Ray looks, I guess he looks like a stereotypical cop. Kind of, I mean, if anything, Ray looks like a stereotypical dirty cop. So I guess that's kind of what she just kind of, I guess from the outside, you'd make those assumptions not knowing the Donovan family, which assumptions and all that, Which obviously when he went to Daryl's place, Ray didn't know that Perry was there, which Perry's following him, realizes it. Him, Terry, and Smitty switch cars. And obviously, Perry, she pulls him over, which, even though I was thinking when she was arresting Smitty, I'm like, that's actually kind of messed up, because, Terry's got his condition, and it's like, you're kind of leaving him without an option, aren't you? Which, Perry doesn't care, because she's so determined to take this family down. Once again, she doesn't know that they were dirty cops. I mean, I don't think at the end of the day it matters. They were still cops. So that's why she's so determined about taking this family down. And now she's asking Smitty stuff about the concert. It's like, oh, like, what's the next line in the song and stuff like that. Which I think Smitty should have been like, honestly, like, you could have easily came up with a better lie and being like, honestly, I went along and everything, but I didn't care for the music. I'm not that fan. It's just kind of like, well, the fact of the matter is, you can swing it to be like, well, the only reason why I'm there is because Bridget actually works with Adam. And then if he wanted to, he could tie this all up with like, well, I recently found out she's having an affair and stuff like that, to kind of catch Perry off balance or something like that. He could throw that in there. But obviously she's like, the fact of the matter is, you're an accessory. Like, you will get, what was it, like 3 life consecutive sentences. I mean, it'd be if being an accessory, because being an accessory is just like if you kill them yourself, which, to be fair, Smitty did kill one of said cops, so it's not like he can play, but she's trying to divide and conquer, because it's like, the fact of the matter is, I wasn't even looking into you until Ray gave you an alibi. Because to be fair, the entire family was involved in this. This was like a family event. I think literally the only one that didn't have any direct ties to this was Bunchy, right? I don't remember if Bunchy had any part to play in all that. I think he might have. I mean, granted, literally everyone else has something to do with disposing of bodies. Obviously, Smitty kind of helped cover up some of the scenes and stuff like that. So it's like, I mean, technically, Terry never had anything directly to do with it. But it is a thing like, well, they all basically, it was a family endeavor. So it's kind of like, yeah, one of them goes down, they kind of all go down for this. But I think in her mind, she thought like, now she's thinking like Smitty, at best, him and Bridget are accessories. Probably doesn't really think that, probably seeing Smitty, and Smitty seems a little squirrely, so she probably doesn't think that he had anything to do with it. So now she's putting Smitty in a very compromising position. I mean, because obviously this isn't anything official. She's kind of doing she's fishing, because she doesn't have any actual evidence. She's only built obviously her suspicions, her gut. Also, the fact of the matter is, like I said, whatever it is Claudette told her specifically, but obviously all this other stuff around it is kind of making her suspicious. But the fact of the matter is, obviously she's got Smitty handcuffed, but it's like, well, you're not holding him. Like, because obviously if this was something official, you wouldn't have him sitting in the back of a car just somewhere. You would have taken him to the station, but because you're not supposed to be working this case because the case was closed. So obviously I wonder if Smitty catching on the fact that, this is super not, there's something up with this, which maybe Terry ends up calling Ray about it, or maybe Terry comes to try and handle it himself. Maybe he calls Bridget, because obviously like Bridget and Smitty are just kind of not in the best place, but it's like, I'm curious to see, because I think Smitty is going to be down for this, because he knows that if he doesn't like play ball with this whole situation, not play ball with Perry, but obviously keep up this lie, it means him and Bridget are going down. Like, despite everything, he does love Bridget, and because he knows that literally the entire, and I love him even being like, oh, she was asking like, oh, do you think do you think Mickey could really kill 3 cops? And I love Smitty being like, I don't know, man, he terrified me, which I think legitimately Mickey did, especially just how calm, cool, and collected, not just him, literally everyone was about the dead bodies and stuff like that, burying the bodies, disposing of the bodies and stuff like that. Sandy and Bridget, especially because Bridget had a lot more hands-on stuff to do than Smitty. She literally helped chop the bodies up. So it's an interesting situation for Smitty to end up in a situation like this, where it's like, oh, your wife could kind of go, you and your wife could go down, especially considering the fact that you're having marital issues right now. But I think it's going to prove to be like, hey, Smitty's ride or die. So it's kind of like he's going to look after Bridget. I don't think it's even going to be a self-preservation thing. He loves Bridget, despite where they are right now. He does love her, And for him, that's why he was like, because even he kind of threw it out there to be like, yeah, I realized that we kind of met under, circumstances. I was dying, and it's like, and, Terry had to be like, well, yeah, she was kind of going through stuff too, because her mom literally had her mom was sick at the time, plus, also her mom died after, so, and kind of being there for the whole situation, obviously, it's going to mess you up, but kind of circling back, I think, well, like I said, there's so many angles to this situation, well, let's go ahead and talk about it. I left off of it, but there was the whole thing where, I think I brought it up earlier, where Daryl was like, you saying that, like, oh, that there's all, like, a vision to all of this, that, oh, this is where we're supposed to be. It's like, all we're doing is fucking up. Like I said, that's all. You guys are stumbling through this. You guys aren't even thinking this through. It's just one mess after another. Like I said, that's all going to blow up in your face. But Mickey's getting Daryl to drink that Kool-Aid, because it's like, oh, like, the fact of the matter is, now that we have these tapes, oh, there's some good stuff up here. Sullivan's going to give us whatever we want. The fact is, this is for you kids, which he said kids. So I'm like, oh, I guess that's supposed to imply it goes to your other 3 sons. The way he made it seem like before that this was supposed to be Daryl's thing, more so like this was supposed to be like, oh, like me and Claudette, and you could have had me that entire, like that time you visited me and the 20 years I was in Walpole, it's like, oh, that was the greatest day ever. Like, he's getting Daryl to suck up that Kool-Aid. It's like, because that's the thing, Daryl is literally the only one that's still buying Mickey's BS. Obviously, like, everything with Bunchy, like it's like, how many times does Mickey have to literally screw up your life, Daryl, before you realize that he's kind of a terrible dad? Because he's, once again, Daryl is so desperate to have like Mickey in his life, to be like, because in his mind it's like you're the little kid that grew up without their dad. To be fair, your brothers are basically in the same condition. They didn't grow up with their dad. They literally had, once again, Ray had to watch his mom die because their dad was off with your mom, which obviously, that would be something I'll get to in a second. Well, I'll go ahead and talk about it. But obviously Ray ends up tracking down because they found out where Sandy had left her car, which is like, even then, it's because even Terry's like, she left her card, freaking idiots. It's like, yeah, it's amateur hour for all of them, because, Mickey and Sandy are just flying by the seat of their pants. Daryl's literally no better. To be fair, Daryl's always been flying by the seat of his pants. If anyone's always the planner in the family, it's Ray. Ray's the one who kind of concocts a lot of stuff, so it's kind of, he's the one that kind of comes up with the strategies and stuff like that. Everyone else kind of goes by, his plays and whatnot. But it's like, he finds Mickey, falls him back, and Daryl jumps him. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? At first I was like, oh, did Daryl mistake him for someone? It's like, no, he did that specifically. I'm like, why are you doing that? I guess Jasmine had called him about Ray, so that he knew to be on the lookout. And once again, it's because for him, it's like, the fact of the matter is, like, which Ray calls him a monkey. which I don't, obviously there's racial connotations to that. I don't think Ray meant it in the racial way. I think it was just more so because it's like, you're literally like a monkey because like he tells you to do something, he tells you to flip, you flip. But obviously you can understand why Daryl would take it the way he did. Because obviously like there's deep-seated issues there because like, you know, I mean, just to be fair, I think it's the whole thing of like they all kind of had issues with Daryl. I mean, I think Bunchy and Terry were more able to jump on board. But obviously in Daryl's mind, it's like, when you look at me, you're like, oh, here, you know, because it's like, you never accepted me as a brother. You know, even Ray's like, what? When he was like, yeah, oh, look at this N-word. And it's like, Ray's like, wait, what? Motherfucker, I never thought that. What are you talking about? Because for him, it's like, you never accept me as a brother. He's like, go fuck yourself, Daryl. Because for him, it's like, well, you can't blame him. And then he's not looking at you like, oh, this, you know, N-word. Like, he's not looking at you like that. It's like, no, you're just a reminder. The fact is, their dad left their mom, who was dying of cancer, cheating on her with you. Which obviously, you know, history has a nasty way of repeating itself because obviously Ray ended up cheating while Abby was literally dying from cancer. You know, so, you know, which isn't to say Ray's, you know, better or anything like that, you know, but it's just a thing of like, he doesn't understand why Daryl is so fiercely loyal and going as far as he is, knocking Ray out with the bottle. I mean, you should know that literally, like, there's so much going on here that you're not, but you're so desperate because for him, it's like almost kind of like almost like this thing of like, Daryl's just so adamant. Like, he thinks like it's going to make up for things. It's going to fill that hole in his heart, which at the end of the day, once again, it's just Mickey's using you because he knows he can use you. He knew Bunchy was done with his BS. So it's like, let me go to the one son. You know, it's just like, cause once again, it was that line that he says, like, he told Bunchy, it's like, oh, you're my favorite, which Bunchy was like, you've literally said that to every one of us. But he was like, yeah, and I meant it every time I say it. It's just like, Mickey knows what strings to pull with which sons, you know? So, and once again, like I said, after everything you've gotten caught up in because of your dad, you would think. But obviously, once again, he also has resentment towards Ray, even though Ray has kind of looked out for you. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you might have looked out for me, but it's always been for your self-interest. Like, the fact of the matter is, what have you done for me? You know, I'm sure Daryl feels slighted, but it's like, dude, you kind of got to put that aside. Like, even you recognize this whole situation is going off the rails, but you're kind of feeling entitled because, like, oh, this is all part of, like, you know, kind of my heritage. Like, I'm just as much a part of this family as Bunchy, Terry, or Ray. We also learned from Bunchy on his side of the story that the woman, you know, he's trying to help out and everything to get surgery. Her son died from the infection, and it's like, okay, so now what does this mean? Like, obviously they were working together and everything last episode, but it's like, you know, I wonder how she's going to feel. Like, it's one thing because it's like my son's going to be in a wheelchair the entire life, but now it's like, nope, he actually died. Like, what's that going to mean for her and Bunchy? Like, is she going to be even more upset? Is she probably going to try and sue him? Maybe. Because obviously she wanted to have her son moved, but the doctor wouldn't do it. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see where they stand, like, going forward, you know, with that storyline. So, then there's the whole Jim storyline, which Jim is not sure whether he can trust Ray or not. Because it's like, well, Ray showed up and said that Ronnie was dead and said that tapes were gone. He brings in his, I'm assuming his oldest, Declan, which it seems like Declan's kind of his fixer. I guess Kevin and Molly were always kind of outside of that, but Declan's kind of the one he calls to kind of be the fixer in this. So it's like, hey, I'll hook you up with some stuff if you get these tapes back for me, because it's like the tapes just don't mean Jim goes down. The entire family's legacy will go down, which is obviously a complicated thing because Ray is really into Molly and Molly's into Ray, and now it's just kind of like this is going to turn into a whole messy situation because it's like a war between these two, you know, Ray's, you know, dad, you know, obviously everything with Mickey and obviously, you know, with Molly's dad, Jim, like that's going to be a storm in itself. Once again, kind of making them almost like a Romeo and Juliet thing. I think I made that comparison before, but it's like, it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But Declan's saying he's not going to do anything because it's like, well, I want to run the company. Don't leave it to Kevin. But obviously it's like, well, if we go public, the fact of the matter is no one's going to really want to, stockholders aren't really going to be too keen on the business considering your past, Declan. But it's like, okay, let's see how far you get on your own, Dad. So things are going to get messy. Once again, I feel like Declan's the cleaner. Well, he's kind of the fixer in the family. Like, that whole thing is going to turn into a nasty, nasty mess. You kind of hope that, especially because he likes Molly, that things work out nicely, but you can't help but get this inkling like things are going to be a shit show going forward. This is going to be a problem. Things are going to get very, very ugly. Like, someone's going to end up dead on one side of this family situation. Either it's going to be obviously, Jim's in the process of dying because he's sick. Just all this Mickey drama. I'm curious to ultimately see where all this ends up taking us going forward. Hell, Daryl literally knocked his brother out with a bottle to the back of the head and left him in the middle of the street, which is super effed up. He's going to be super pissed when he wakes up. I wonder if Daryl going to tell them that, yeah, I did that, which I'm curious to see what Mickey's reactions are going to be. It's like, well, Ray was coming here to stop us, but at the same time, it's like, once again, it's like he's trying to stop you from doing something super stupid because you're literally going to start something already. You've literally already started something. You've dropped bodies. Once again, Detective Perry is coming after you already, so it's like, which ironically it's kind of like, well, the one who sold you out was Claudette, so that's gonna be interesting, especially when Daryl potentially he'll probably won't find out until his mom's like, yeah, I did this for your sake. He's like, wait, what? You turned me and Dad in? How, so that's probably gonna turn into an issue itself. I'm so interested to see ultimately where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.